So welcome you all to the training session on statistical process control, that is SPC. And today is the day 5 of this session and it's the concluding session also. We are going to finish this 5 days training session today. In today's session, after the clause of confidentiality, we will continue with the charts for attributes. Yesterday we have seen the NP and P chart, which are charts for attributes and which are used for the defectives. So today we are going to cover C and U chart, C chart and U chart, which are used for the defects. Then as we will move towards knowing the capabilities and the performance of the processes, so there are certain terms and definition which are related to the process variation, what is inherent variation, what is overall variation, because this is what is going to be used for calculation of the CPK and the PPK, or you can say CP or PP also. Then we will see what are these process performance and process capability indices, how to calculate CP, PP, CPK and PPK. What is the difference between these two? What is CPK and what is PPK? The like capability and the performance. We will see what is the difference between these two. Then what is sigma level and determining the sigma level of the processes. As we will calculate the capability, the entire exercise of statistical process control is to control the processes so that you will avoid generating the non-conforming products. So where your process should run so that you will have the maximum conformances and lowest non-conformances. You can relate it with the sigma level also. So how this CPK and the sigma level is related, that we are going to show you. Then we will summarize this session and then we will let you know how you are going to get the certification, what are the requirements, how to access the quiz and the training material on our website also. Then we will quickly brief you about other trainings offered by Quality Mantra. Many of the people have already attended many of the training programs, and then we will have a question and answer session. Whatever the queries you have till about all this session, you can raise your queries and then we will end the session. So as we are telling you at the start of every session, the training content is of proprietary nature. Do not share the screenshots, the recordings on any of the public platform, nor to your connection. Share the knowledge, do not share the contents directly. C and U charts. It is a attribute type of control charts. As we have seen yesterday, that how many non-conforming products are there, like defectives are there. For that we use N, P and P chart. Same way about the defects, like non-conformities. Non-conformity means defects, anything which is causing your product to not meet the requirement. For example, if there is a requirement of the hardness, that the hardness should be 52, but you are getting the hardness of minimum 52 hardness requirement is there, you are getting the hardness of 50. It means you are not meeting the requirement. So it is a one kind of a defect, that is a low hardness. The material should be scratch free, but there are scratches. It means the defect, the nature of the defect is scratches. Scratch is a kind of defect. Scratch is a non-conformity. Okay. Similar way, in your product, whatever the products you are manufacturing, whether you are manufacturing sheet metal products, whether you are manufacturing the automobile components or automobile itself, there will be one or more kind of defects being generated during the manufacturing process. Now, these defects may or may not lead to the defective, that is non-conforming product. You may reject, you may not reject that product, but these defects are there. And if you do not control this defect, one product has many defects, you are definitely going to reject that product. That's why it is very important to track the defect rate also. How many kind of defects are there? If there are one particular kind of defect is happening too much of a time, then what you can do? You can do the YY analysis, you can do the cause and effects analysis, find out various causes, probable causes, then go to the root causes and eliminate these root causes. So once you eliminate these root causes, the defect generation will be lowered, because whenever there is a defect generation is a wastage of the activity. You require people for inspection, you require resources for rework or rectification. And if it is not rectifiable, what will happen? You need to downgrade. Downgrade means again the loss of your revenue, loss of price, loss of money. So defect has a significant impact on the profitability of your organization. That's why you need to focus on them. If I say yesterday there were 10 products rejected. Yesterday there were 10 products rejected. Can you just take the action based on this data? Is it possible for you to take the action based on this data that 10 products were rejected? Is this information sufficient for you to take the action? क्या आप इस डेटा के बेस पे एक्शन ले सकते हो या आपको कुछ और इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए? Yes, people. Do you require any additional information, or yes, you can start taking the action based on this data? 10 products were rejected yesterday. Yes, I need the answer from you people. No, yeah, no, you cannot. So what additional information you require? Akshay, what additional information is required? Reason for rejection. Yes, Pawan has written reason for rejection. So you should have this data. And for example, if you are monitoring the NP and P chart and yesterday you saw zero defect generation. Alright, defect means defective generated, zero products were rejected. Day after tomorrow also, not day after tomorrow, yesterday, today, or last 4-5 days there were zero defect generation, defective product generation. Does that mean there are no defects? Does that mean that you are not going to take any action for improvements? Because this zero defective generation, zero defective product generation doesn't mean there are no defects. There might be some defect generation. Defects were there, but you allowed this. That's why it is coming zero in your record. So what you need to do? You need to follow this one. Or if there is one product rejected, that doesn't mean okay, only one. You should not be very happy. You should know what are the various defects present in that particular product. It may happen that this for one product rejection there were 5 different defects. Such scenarios are very dangerous. So you need to find out why there are 5 defects. For every defect there will be a different root causes. You need to reach to the root causes and take the action. When you take the action on the defects, your defective rate will be down. This is just for the monitoring purpose. But action needs to be taken on the defect. Why the product is getting rejected? Because there are defects. So you need to take action on the defects. Then and then only you can reduce the rejection numbers. Just simply looking at the rejection number is not going to solve your problem. Then why we need to have the NP and P chart? Just to ensure that what are the actions you are taking. If you are saying that yes, we are taking the action on the defects, action on the cause of the defects, it means the trend chart of NP and P chart should go down. You should have minimum number of defectives, and this is how you will come to know whether the actions that you have decided, the actions that you have implemented, the actions that you have taken are giving the right results or not. Even if you have decided some action and after that for a certain period of time the defect rate is going down and after that again it is increasing in the NP and P chart. Okay, if it is increasing, that means either there are the new kind of defects which has caused this non-conformance, और ऐसा हो सकता है कि हमने जो एक्शन यहाँ पर ली थी अब लोगों ने उसके ऊपर से कंट्रोल छोड़ दिया है. People are not following the standard. That's why again the defect rate is increased. Defective rate is increased. So this is how you are going to use NP and P chart to monitor whether these actions what you have implemented are being followed properly, or if there is some new kind of defect causing these non-conformances. Then why there is a C and U chart difference? What is the difference between these two? Same as NP and P chart. Yesterday we have seen NP and P chart. So C chart is basically chart for number of non-conformities, number of defects. Chart for number of defects. And here U chart is number of non-conformities per unit. How many samples you have checked, that also is important. If every day you are monitoring the same number of sample, then okay, you can go for C chart. But if your number of samples varying every day, it means you need to go for the U chart. You need to follow, you need to monitor the proportion, the non-conformities per unit. So now let us see one how you are going to calculate it. These are the formulas. Again, for plotting a control chart, you require the data. That will be your number of defects or number of defects per unit. Then you require the average. So you will take out the average of that one. And then you require LCL and UCL. So this is the formula which you are going to use for calculating LCL and UCL of C and U chart. So here for LCL, it's C bar minus 3 into under root of C bar. So what is C bar? Average number of defects. What is the average number of defects? So for example, you have taken the 10 days data, you have say 15 defects, total defects. So you can say there are 1.5 defects per day. And then for the U chart, the LCL and UCL is calculated by U bar, that is average of defects per inspection unit. Average of defects per inspection unit divided by N, that is number of inspection units. So here U bar, average of defects per inspection unit, minus 3 into under root of U bar upon N. And here there is a plus, that is the difference only between LCL and UCL. If any questions are there regarding this, please ask, else we will move to the Excel sheet and see how we can make this C and U chart on the Excel sheet. Okay, so I am switching to the Excel sheet. Once it is visible, please let me know. Is it visible to you? Okay. Yeah. So this is the data. This kind of data you need to collect. So day wise or shift wise, whatever the way you are monitoring. If you are monitoring day wise, you put the data day wise. If you are monitoring every shift defect rate, put it every shift, because you might be collecting every shift also, because whenever you are testing, you are getting the defects, you are putting it into logging it. So it is beneficial if you split it into the small units. Just a minute. Yeah. So if you split it into the shifts, what will happen? Because if there are certain particular shift, there is a large number of defect generation. You can pinpointedly know that yes, in that particular shift something has gone wrong. You need to check whether something is related to the, say, the timing of the shift, something related to the operator, something related to the supervision, something related to the material. So you can pinpointedly go to the shift level if you split it into the shift wise data, but it is not compulsory. It is up to the organization, it is up to you, your section, that how you want to monitor this data. Now you started gathering the data, you got, okay, low hardness 1, 3, 5, 1. So you will put it for every kind of defect, or you can put it cumulatively also, and you chart it cumulatively, but at the bottom of this one you will have the tabulated data for the kind of defects, because it is very necessary to know why this peak has gone here, how many kind of defects were there. So you can monitoring various defects in one control chart, or it is always better to monitor the defects, various defects in different control chart. It is always good. Here you can see that the units inspected are common, that's why you are utilizing this C chart. Otherwise, if every day the units inspected are different, then you have to go for the U chart. Total number of defects, how many total number of defects are there? You calculated the summation of all these, the sum of all the defects. So total number of defects is 30. Then what is the C bar? C bar is the average number of the defects. So you have checked how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's the average number of defects per shift. You are checking every shift, that's why the average number of defects per shift. So 30 divided by 12 times you have checked here. So that comes 2.5. So this 2.5 is here. So C bar is 2.5. Now you got the value of C bar. Then you can easily calculate the LCL and UCL. A very simple formula. So just check whether the answer is same or not. So the formula here is C bar minus 3 into under root of C bar. So let us calculate what is the square root of C bar. So C bar value is 2.5. So you can put SQRT 2.5. So this is the value of C bar, and the formula is C bar minus 3 into under root of C bar. So this is the under root of C bar. So the LCL will be C bar minus 3 into under root of C bar. So this is minus 2.24, and for UCL it will be C bar plus 3 into this one. So it is 7.24. So your control limits are there. Now you got the control limit minus 2.2434 and UCL 7.24. You plot it. You select the data of everyday defects. You select the data of LCL and UCL, and you select the average defect data. You go to the insert and you put this. So this is your C chart prepared. This is how your C chart is prepared. You can put like a C chart for some month, or you can put just C chart for particular defect. Now you keep on monitoring whenever there is a defect generation in whatever the kind of defects are generated, or if you are monitoring it for the hardness, low hardness, okay, you will, if you got any defect low hardness, you are going to, the average line suggests you that yes, there is a average line means 2.5. If something is above that one, you should get alarmed. Why it is high? What is the problem? You know? So any doubt in this C chart? Any questions you have for the C chart? Because it is very simple. And the thing is that you people need to try it. Try it with actual data, try it with any imaginary data, but try to prepare. Take any defect. You can take day-to-day example also. Vehicle breakdown. How the vehicle gets breakdown, the puncture, the this and that. So just note it down. Or if you can take your industrial example, it is very good because the data is available. Only thing you need to take some effort and plot this. And plotting this graph, even you don't require the Excel sheet, or a simple calculator can help you, because it is not very say large data, not in the decimal places also. It is easily the summation. Even if I add 25 number of data, 25 days data, I can easily calculate the sum of all this. Many times it is possible to calculate even without the calculator also. Then you can easily calculate the average. LCL also very easy. You just need under root. There are no constant, nothing used. So please try to prepare this chart on your own. Then your understanding about this formula will be very good. And then once you prepare this LCL and UCL, keep tracking your number of defects every day. You will get a lot of insights about your process, how it is behaving, whether it is generating defectives or not. So you will come to know a lot of things from it. Now coming to the U chart, where the number of samples being tested are varying. Like here you are having 25 number of data every day, 25 number of samples tested every day. So you can say that okay, in 25 this is constant. I can say that okay, this day the number of defect proportion is very high. I know, because every day you are checking 25, you are not changing this. But if you are changing, then you need to utilize the U chart. So like hardness, same data, but every day the samples inspected are changing. Someday you are checking 25 samples, someday you are checking 30 samples, then 20, then 15, then 45, 30. It means you cannot absolutely say that this 7 defects generated in 25 sample is the highest one. We cannot say surely that yes, this is the highest value. By default it has come highest, so what I will do, I will just change it. Now the 7 defects are here, that doesn't mean it is the highest thing. The highest value is something different. I will take even 95. So at least that will give you, it is, yeah, here it is a problem. Hmm. So now you cannot say that yes, this is the worst scenario. In 95 there are 7 defects, so you cannot say this is the worst scenario. The worst scenario can be different. Like this, there are 2 defects only, so it is 0.08. Or you can say there are 4 defects out of 25, so the value is 0.16. So this is not the worst case. So because the proportions are changing, you can say this is the worst case because it is going up to 0.267 proportions. Got it? So now what you will use is defects per unit. So you have the data, you have how many samples being inspected, tested, and now you will write here defects per inspection units. The number of defects you are going to write, and then what you are going to calculate the average of U bar. This is basically U bar. No, sorry, not U bar, the U. Here average of defects per inspection unit. This is the average, and this is the inspection defects per inspection unit, that is the U. This is the value of U. This is you are going to plot on the graph, and this is the average, that is U bar, average number of defects per inspection unit. Okay, this is the average number of defects per inspection unit. How you are going to calculate? You take the average of the entire thing. So you will just put the formula AVE RAGE 0.85, and then you are going to just drag it, or you can give the reference of this one, because this average you need to plot as an average line. Now what is the average number of inspection units? Because you require in the formula what is the average number of inspection unit. Average number of inspection units you need, because it's a n, so number of inspection units you need to take the average. So how many units has been inspected? The sum of all these. So the sum of all the inspection units, this is the sum, and how many data? 12 data are there. So what you will do, you are going to divide this by the 12, so it is 32.5. so average number of inspection unit is n, so you will write 32.5 at all the places. Now you are going to calculate the LCL and UCL. So formulas are very simple. For the U chart, it is U bar minus 3 into under root of U bar upon n. So you will take U bar. What is the U bar? 0.0085 minus 3 into square root of what? U bar divided by n, that is average number, this is the value. Let me check if any problem in so it is same, so there is no problem in formula. So the LCL is minus 0.0685, and what about the UCL? Again, for the UCL you are going to use U bar plus 3 into square root of U bar divided by number of inspection units. So 0.2376. It has changed from the earlier because I had changed this data 95, no? That's why it has changed. I hope I am audible to you people. Yeah, okay. So this is the LCL and UCL got. Now it is simple. What data you need to plot? You need to plot this. You need the average, and you need the LCL, and you need the UCL. All data is there. You just go to the insert. and this is your U chart is ready. Now you see, even we have made it now. Can you people find out any special cause pattern here? This is your initial chart. So can you find out any special cause?
9, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, right?
Yes. You can find any special cause here? Is this a special cause? Can you say this
Yes,
as a
sir. 0.1, 0.1, 0.08, 0.05.
The special cause is
In
this
third March.
basically. This one is the special cause. Directly seen, है ना? Apart from that, now you may need to make the all three zones, but without making any zone, this is directly out of control limit. Any point out of control limit is a special cause. It means what you have to do now, what you will do is this chart you are going to use. Are you going to use this LCL and UCL for monitoring of your process, monitoring of your defect rate? Will you use this? No. What you will do? You need to find out the cause behind this. You need to find the cause, why it has happened. Why it has happened? What is the reason behind it? You need to remove this, means take the action for this particular thing, and then again collect the data, and then calculate, and then move forward. Now, if during monitoring, if anything goes out of control limit, that doesn't mean again you need to recalculate. No, you don't need to recalculate. You need to find out the reason behind that. You need to take the action and bring this data inside. For every special cost thing, you don't need to recalculate. You need to recalculate only at the start when you are calculating the trial control limits, because based on this reading, you are going to monitor your process, monitor your defect rate. Now, just imagine, because of this, your control limits are gone here. I am just writing the control limits here, okay, manually, and I will just change this data. Actually, you don't need to change the data. Let me tell you. You need to remove this special cause first. Find out special cause, then collect the data. Like you can use the data from this side also, and then collect more data, then calculate again. Don't just remove this data. But for the sake of showing you how this is going to impact, I am just changing this to 30. Now you can utilize this. If your data was like this one, you could have used this for monitoring, but because there was some special cause, you cannot use this control limits. You need to find out the reason behind this. You need to remove this data, collect some more data for 4-5 days, plot it again, calculate the control limit. If there is any special cause present, not only this, okay, special cause can be when the data is within also. You need to cross verify it with the pattern. The cross verify it with the pattern, whether there is any kind of pattern like this is available, visible, not available, visible. You need to again take the action, remove this data, then you can move forward. I hope it is clear to you. You see, you need to focus on the formulas and the calculation, because the quiz which are there are many questions based on the formulas. Okay, so note it down somewhere or go through the videos and note it down, because you need to calculate these control limits and answer in the assignments. So knowing the formula is very important, and that is how you are going to get assessed. So we are ensuring that yes, everybody has gone through the formulas, they know the formulas and they know the calculation. Those people know, only they can pass the assessments. So any question on this C or U chart, or I will move to the presentation. If any question is there, please raise. Else I am going to the presentation. Okay. So this is how you are going to calculate the control limits of C and U chart. With this, you have learned how to calculate the control limits and plot the control charts, create the initial trial control charts, and then start monitoring using that control limits for variable type of control chart, that is IMR chart or XMR charts. These are the formulas for the control limits of various variable charts: IMR chart, X bar R chart, and X bar S chart. These are the popularly used. Then calculating the control limits of NP and P chart, you utilize these formulas, and then for C and U chart today that we learned, these formulas are used. Okay, so any question till now? Else we will move to the CPK, PPK, all these things. So before we move to the capability indices, we should know, because that capability indices will give you two things, will tell you two things. One, about the variation of the process, and second, about the centering of the process, whether your processes are centered or not. Then what is the inherent process variation? As we told you, inherent process variation will be because of only the common causes, only because of the common causes, the systematic causes only. So when we are saying, when we are calculating, whenever we say that okay, inherent process variation in the statistic, it means the variation which is only because of the common causes. So we are considering only the variation because of the common causes, that is called inherent process variation. Now when we this we can say in terms of your IMR chart, but when we go to the within subgroup variation, when we are utilizing the variable charts based on the subgroups, we say within subgroup variation. What is this within subgroup variation? This variation is because of the variation within the subgroup. What do you mean by within the subgroup? We have seen the subgroups with various sizes, like we have seen a subgroup with 6 number of data. So the variation within this subgroup, the variation within this data is called as within subgroup variation. And now if the process is in statistical control, means there are only common causes of variation is there, you can say this is nothing but equals to the inherent process variation, that is the variation because of the common causes only. If there is any special cause present, means process is not in a statistical control, this within subgroup variation, it is not inherent process variation. Then how you are going to calculate this within subgroup variation, that is sigma c? Here you are going to utilize the control chart, and you are going to calculate it by using R bar by D2 or S bar by C4. R bar by D2 or S bar by C4. That's why when you have seen the charts, like I am going to the Excel sheet, and we will go to the X bar S chart or X bar R chart also we can go. When we are saying this is the variation within this one, and how you are going to calculate R bar by D2. But we have not used the D2 for LCL. We are not going to use the D2 for the LCL. Okay. For this purpose, we are going to use the within subgroup variation. You are going to calculate it by using R bar by D2. So what will be the D2 value? What D2 value I am going to take here? I am going to show you this chart. Chart for constants. You just tell me what is the constant you are going to take. Tell me what will be the value of R bar by D2. R bar value is there. Please calculate the R bar by D2 for this data. Mr. Praveen Kumar say 0.8. So let me calculate. Yeah. No, it's not 0.8. Huh? It's 0.8684. You are nearer to there. Maybe you might have not. What is the value of this you are taken? I hope you must have taken this value 2.059 because the subgroup here is 4. So here subgroup is 4 means 2.059. 1.7880 divided by this, that is 0.8684 is the within variation. Okay. Now if there are no special causes present, you can say it is inherent process variation. Means this is how the process will be there. The process will have this much standard deviation because of its own nature. And if you calculate, now just imagine you calculate the stdev.s for the entire data, not from R bar by D2. You are taken the entire data, all these 100 data. This is your standard deviation. It is showing you lower standard deviation. It is showing you lower standard deviation. Whereas when you take R bar by D2, it is showing you higher standard deviation. Or in case of S bar S chart, you are going to use C4, the value of C4, R bar by, S bar by C4. So now please calculate the inherent process variation for this particular chart. That's why for calculating the capability, you cannot calculate it from the Excel. You need to utilize the control chart to calculate your capability. Okay, and for capability, you require the specification limits. When we go to the formula, we will come to know. आपको चाहिए specification limit, आपको चाहिए average of the process, वो भी आपको यहाँ से मिलेगा. Then you require the standard deviation, which will be taken if you are utilizing the X bar S chart. You have to utilize S bar by C4. Now, what C4 value you are going to take? What is the inherent process what is the within subgroup process variation here? Can you please calculate? S bar value is there. C4, which value you are going to take? Please calculate. I will just wait for 1 minute and then we will move forward. कौन सी वाली लोगे आप? Please calculate. Very easy. This one divided by C4 value. If your answer is 0.8423, it's correct. Have you people calculated what value you are going to take? There are, sorry, there are 11 subgroups. The subgroup size is 11. So that's why you are going to use the C4 value of 0.9794. Okay, the C4 value will be 0.9794, because for subgroup 11 the C4 value is 0.9754. So that's why for S bar by C4, so S bar value is there and C4 value is there. So this is your inherent, not inherent, this is your within subgroup variation. Within subgroup variation. Clear? Any doubt? So this is the purpose of preparing the control chart. You cannot calculate the capabilities you cannot calculate your capability, process capability, without preparing the control charts, or at least without, say, gathering the data as is required for preparing the control chart. Unless and until you have the R bar data, S bar data, you will be not able to calculate the capability. You cannot calculate the capability from the Excel directly. There is no formula. Whereas standard deviation, yes, for which is used for calculating the performance index, you can do it from the Excel sheet. stdev.s, you will get the standard deviation, and that you can use for calculating the performance. But for capability, you require the data of R bar by D2 or S bar by C4. That's why, and R bar by R bar kahan se aata hai? Which kind of chart will have, you will have the R bar value? Which all kind of chart you have the R bar value? R bar value सब में मिलता है कि नहीं मिलता है, और S bar value मिलती है कि नहीं मिलती है? You are utilizing the IMR chart, individual moving range chart. R bar आपके पास है वहां पे. You are using X bar R chart, R bar value is there. You are using X bar S chart, S bar value will be there. Now this is for calculation of the within subgroup variation. Then there is a between subgroup variation. And when we say between subgroup variation, this is the variation is due to the variation between the various subgroups. And if the process is in a statistical control, the variation should be 0. Means say your within the subgroup variation, if your process is in a state of statistical control, the variation should be near to the 0. There should not be a vast difference between the subgroup variation. Like here, when we compare the between subgroup variation, now here you can say there is a difference between subgroup variation. The between subgroup variation, I can see different values are there. It means it might not be in a state of statistical control. Lot of variation there is within the subgroups. So you need to find out whether there are any special causes present, why it is showing you different data. So you need to calculate it from this data, that whether there is any special cause present or not. You need to find out whether it is in a state of statistical control or not. Because if it is in a state of statistical control, you should not have variation from this group to this group. A large variation should not be there within the subgroup. Then comes the total process variation, that is TV, total process variation. This process variation is because of both within subgroup and between subgroup variation. And how you are going to estimate that variation? You can estimate this variation by S. It is a Greek letter S, means standard deviation, the sample standard deviation, which you are going to calculate using all the individual reading from either from the control chart or a process study. So total process variation will be, in case of this, the variation because of the entire data. And this variation what we calculated 0.8423, it is called within subgroup variation. But for total variation you are going to use the formula STDEV dot S, and you select the entire data. So you are within entire variation, you see the entire variation is more, entire standard deviation value is more here. It is 0.85, whereas here it is 0.83, because it was within subgroup, whereas this is entire. So entire value is little bit higher in this case. It means you are not just calculating the within subgroup, you are calculating the overall, you are considering all the data points. Similar way in the X bar R chart, you are calculating this, and then you are calculating the utilizing the entire data. So within entire data you are seeing here lower, whereas when you are calculating, it means there is certain, somewhere there might be a special cause present. There can be a special cause present, that's why it is showing a lot of you can see clearly here also, the range here is different, the range here is different. It means lot of difference is there. You need to study this. Now we have taken this data, hypothetical data, we have copy pasted from here and there. So sometimes it will give you different perspective. You utilize your data. If for any of your process, if you have say 25, 30, hundreds of data, share with us. We will calculate it for you and we will tell you whether there is something wrong in the data or data capturing, or what is your process capability in that certain cases. For the purpose of understanding, just keep in mind, for calculating the capability, you are going to use the standard deviation estimated or calculated using the R bar by D2, or you can say estimated using the R bar by D2 or S bar by C4. Whereas for the calculation of the performance, that is PP or PPK, you are going to use the standard deviation, the total process variation, which is calculated using the variance. The first day we have learnt about the variance. Even after that also many a times we talked about the variance. Yesterday also we have seen how the standard deviation is calculated, that we have seen yesterday. So for calculating the PP and PPK, you are going to utilize the total process variation, which will be calculated using the standard deviation based on the variance. In Excel sheet, directly you use stdev.s, or you calculate it for the entire data, you calculate the variance, and then you calculate the standard deviation by taking the under root of the variance. Now then, what is the process capability? We have seen the variation, this, that. Then what is the process capability? What is the process performance? The process capability is basically the 6 standard deviation range of inherent process variation, and it is for statistical process only where sigma is estimated by r bar by d2 or s bar by c4. So process capability will tell you the 6 standard deviation range, how it is distributed. When you calculate the CPK, it will tell you the spread of 3 here and 3 here, plus 3 sigma and minus 3. So spread of the 6 sigma, it is going to tell you. And what is the process performance then? In the process performance, you are going to utilize the standard deviation estimated by the S, the Greek letter S, that is total variation, total process variation. Then what is, now if the process is in a state of statistical control, the CP and the PP will be close to each other. Please note it down. If your process is in a state of statistical control, your CP and PP, the process capability and the process performance, will be close to each other. And if there is a large difference, means there is a special cause present. That's why when we were here in the X bar R chart, there is a large variation in the standard deviation. That's why I said ki there is a special cause present in this data. If you analyze it properly, there will be a special cause present. Otherwise, this difference should not be there in the standard deviations. Too much of a difference will tell you that yes. And whereas in the X bar S chart, you find out it is 8.5 and 8.4. There is no very high variations between the two. So there might not be a special cause present. Might not be. You need to compare it with your all the 8 patterns of special cause and find out if there is any special cause present in this one. Now, how you are going to calculate then capability index CP and performance index PP? Just look at the formula. The CP and PP are not affected by the process centering. It means this is your road. One driver is driving here. One driver is driving here. And one driver is driving here. This is your USL. Now we are talking about the LSL and USL. Okay, sorry, this side LSL and it is USL, upper specification limit. Now just consider this upper specification limit as 105, lower specification limit as 95, and the standard deviation for this, the process A, process B and process C. Okay, the standard deviation that you calculated utilizing this is, consider it as 10 divided by 6, so 1.5 divided by 1. So if the standard deviation is 1.1 for this also, 1.1 for this also, and 1.1 for this case also. Can you please calculate the CP for this case? You get the USL and LSL, LSL and USL. Sorry, this is LSL is 95. Hmm. LSL you need to take 95. Here it is 95. This is because LSL, and the USL is 105. Okay, so you have the LSL, you have the USL, and you have sigma. Please calculate the CP and PP, or you can calculate just CP also. Same will be applicable for PP also. Same. This is sigma equals to 1.1 for all the process. I hope you people are calculating. Yeah, Pawan is saying 1.515. Other people also please calculate. This is sigma, Anna. The sigma value is, you can see sigma C is 1.1. Formula is USL minus LSL upon 6 into standard deviation. Just calculate. So it is 105 minus 95. Yeah, Mr. Praveen is saying 1.52 divided by 6. Don't confuse with the 6 and sigma. Na? 6 into the standard deviation, which I told you as 1. So it will be 10 divided by 6.6. So it's simple calculations. There is nothing. Only thing is that you need to know the formulas. So it will be 10 divided by 6.6 equals to 1.5151, or you can say 1.52. So it can be, to be precise, 515, or normally we take up to 2 decimal place, so you can say 1.52. Arithmetically we rounding off, so it is 1.52. 515 or 52 both are correct. Now just think that CP and PP, similar way PP is calculated. Only thing, what is the difference between the CP and PP? What is the formula difference you are seeing? Why it is minus? It is not minus 1.52, okay? Mr. Praveen, it will not be minus. I told you it is a USL minus LSL. Okay, USL minus, it will never come in minus. So earlier I made a mistake here, but I corrected it. LSL is 95, USL is 105. So you need to minus USL minus LSL. What is the difference between this CP and PP? What is the difference in the formulas? Just look at the formula. Almost everything is same except for one thing. And what is that? क्या difference है उसमें? Yeah, total. simply you can say the way the standard deviations are calculated or the way the process variation is calculated. For calculating the CP, that is capability index, you are taking R bar by D2. Okay, you are taking R bar by D2. Whereas for calculating the performance, you are taking the total variation. You see, you may be capable. What is the difference between this capability and performance? Capability और performance में क्या difference है? आप capable हो सकते हो, है ना? You are capable of scoring 95% marks. हो सकता है आप एक बार हो, दो बार कर लोगे. But if we take your entire, if we check your performance, तो उसमें क्या होगा? हो सकता है कभी ups and downs भी आते हैं. You are capable of running 1 kilometer in 30 minutes. So short term we can say that yes, one kilometer you can run in 30 minutes. But if we check your performance for over an extended period of time, there in some cases you might be having 35 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So this variation, when we say actual performance, how you are actually performing, many a time our capability is more. We have the capability, we have capability to score 95% mark, but some subject we may not achieve. In some of the examination we might not achieve that one because of some variation, because of some special causes it may happen. So the variation because of the common causes and because of the special causes, total put together will give you the performance, that is total variation of the process. So our capability is more, but our performance may not be more. Like when we start the training session, say of 15 days or 30 days, initially, if we talk about the short term capabilities, you are attending full time. But if we look at the long time perspective, your performance might not be that good, because there are certain other factors comes into the picture. So this is basically a short term study, you can say. This is a short term. How your process is performing in a short term, that is calculated by the capability, and it is a long term, basically the performance. And this will actually tell you the how your process is actually running for a extended period of time, because it is considering all the variation within your data. Got it? And as you can see here, it is not affected by the PP and CP are not affected by the centering, process centering. Wherever you are running, so for example, when you plot a control chart, आप जब control chart बनाते हो, now your process is running here, or your process is running here, or your process is running here. If the variation is same, your PP and CP value will be, whether you calculate the CP for this scenario or this scenario, your CP will be same because variation is same. So it doesn't matter where your process is running when calculating this one. But is that true? अगर आपकी प्रोसेस यहाँ पे चलती है near to the LSL, is it good for you? Is this good for you? Actually आपकी प्रोसेस कहाँ चलनी चाहिए? Where you want your process to run? With respect to the specification limits, center, है ना? So in the control chart, that is the difference between the control chart and now specification limit, control limits and the specification limits. The control chart will not let you know whether your process is running in the center of your specification or whether it is running nearer to the upper limit. Where it is running, it is not going to tell you. Whether your process is running in the center or not will be assessed by the capability index CPK or performance index that is PPK. उससे आपको पता चलेगा वो इंडेक्स कहा जा रहा है. If it is low, the control chart will give you the input to control your process to lower down your variation, but the capability index will tell you whether it is running in the center or not, whether there is a requirement to reduce the standard deviation or the requirement to reduce the process centering. How? Just look at these formulas. The capability index CPK and the performance index PPK. Sometimes people call the CP as the capability, only they will say capability and performance, they will not say index, but actually these are all the index also. But you may come into the come across certain certain scenarios where people will say CP is the capability and PP is the performance. That is also okay. And when we say capability index, it refers to the CPK. When we say performance index, it refers to the PPK. So what is this CPK and PPK? Just look at the formula carefully and compare it with the formulas of the CP and PP. What is the difference you are finding here? What is the difference you are finding here? Yes, people, I will wait for your answers. What is the difference? Just carefully look at the formulas. And what is this? U and L, this is upper, this is lower, this is upper, this is lower. Just look at the formulas.
इसमें
हाँ, yes.
स्पेसिफिक लिमिट की बात कर रहे हैं. इसमें स्पेसिफिक लिमिट की भी बात हो रही है.
Here also specification limit.
उसमें नहीं हो रहा ना.
View, why? There is a USL and ELSL.
Yeah, sorry. Yes,
just again look at. Or if you people want me to bring it to the same place, I can do that also. Just for the better understanding, what I am doing, I will just bring this there. Okay. No, but again it will. Oh, just a minute. It is difficult for me to bring that there. Just a minute. Give me a minute. I am going to bring that there. Now the screen is visible to you people. Somebody please confirm that screen is visible. Okay. So now I have bring it on the same slide. So now just compare the difference between the CP and the PP and CPK and the PPK. The difference you are seeing here in the formula. It's very easy. You have to just compare the formulas. Please let me know when you are ready with your answers, है ना? Just observe what is the difference. What extra factor has come there? What are all the extra factors has come there? Okay, one is the 3 sigma, 6 sigma. What else? The denominator, it is 3 sigma, and in the case of the CP, H double bar. That is what H double bar means. Averages of the average, or wherever if you are utilizing, you are calculating it for the IMR chart, it will be simply X bar. Okay. In case of IMR chart, it will be simply X bar. In case of IMR chart, because there you are taking X bar. Whereas in case of X bar R chart and X bar S chart, you have to utilize X double bar. Averages of the average. It means in the CP, are you talking about the average? No. But in CPK and the PPK, you are talking about the average. It means you are talking about the centering or the location of the process. If your process is nearer to the upper specification limit, or your process is running here, so your average will be nearer to the LSL. In this case, your average will be nearer to the USL. And if it is running in the center, so it will be, the average will be at the center of this one. Because when we are talking about the CPK, you are calculating the CPKU by subtracting the X double bar or X bar from the USL. And for CPKL, you are subtracting S double bar LSL minus the average value. And the value of CPKU and CPKL, when you get the lower of these two, the minimum value of these two is considered as the capability index, lower value of both. Now, if your process is running here, just imagine the same scenario. The USL is 105, LSL is 95. Same scenario I am taking. Your sigma is 1.1. I am saying sigma is same 1.1. No problem. Take variation as same for all the cases. But the average for process A, what I am doing, for clarity I will insert a bar and then I will write. Okay. Here. So for process A, first common LSL is 95, USL is 105, and your standard deviation, okay, whether R bar by D2 or say for example Greek letter S, it is same 1.1. Now this is standard deviation 1.1 for all the process. Now for process A, the average is 103. For process B, the average is 100, and process C, the average is 97. Could you please calculate the CPKL and CPKU? Please calculate CPKL and CPKU. Or first you calculate CPKU and CPKL, whatever it may be. Formulas are there. You have the formula and I have given you the data. Very simple. Please calculate. and you will come to know why that difference is there. Average means you can take H double bar, or in case of IMR chart, it is the average. In case of S bar S chart and S bar R chart, it is S double bar. So calculate it quickly, CPKU, CPKL. And then what we will do, we will go to the Excel sheet, and for the IMR chart, we will try to find out, because we have the data there. Based on that, we will find out CPKU, CPK also and PPK also. Let us go there and calculate. But before that, please, with this formula, calculate it.